So welcome everyone to Showtime Toastmasters. And in tonight's presentation, Tony Valles will give you a tool through which you can change your life in just 3 minutes. We're talking about an elevator pitch. And if crafted and delivered correctly, you will get a yes for a longer presentation at a future time. Tony is a world-class certified speaking coach, trainer, and inspirational speaker. He's been an active member of Toastmasters International for 25 years, and he's also a member of the National Speakers Association. As a professional speaker, Tony has presented many seminars and webinars on storytelling and other public speaking skills. So join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Tony Valles as he shares with us how to develop an effective elevator pitch.
Thank you. Okay. Just a second, please. I should have been ready. Okay, I'm going to join my share. Okay. I can move this. I'm having difficulty starting the presentation. There is a tool there that I cannot change. Okay, I got it. Slideshow.
We're seeing the slides on the left as well as.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Okay,
There we
sure.
go.
Oops. You're not seeing my screen. You're not.
No, we lost it.
What happened? I should have tried that.
You stop sharing, Tony, just share again.
Yes.
There is. You got it. You got it. Okay. I'm sorry for the confusion. This is not a good beginning, but I appreciate your attention. I should have been ready and I'm not. So I promise not to do this again. Welcome. It's an honor to be here. And today you are going to be taking with you a tool that will allow you to do a pitch in 3 minutes, speak in a elevator speech in 3 minutes. This is the bibliography that I have, and you have a handout. So you're welcome to take a look at it and tell me if you have any questions at the end. Okay, so let's begin then. We are all salespersons in one way or another. So for the purpose of this presentation, we are all going to be salespersons, and we all have one goal. And the goal is, in this particular presentation, to get a future appointment. As a salesperson, we're even selling a message, a product, an idea. Whatever we're selling, we want to get in front of the buyer and be able to do a presentation. And that is the purpose of this speech, to give you a tool that will allow you to get that future appointment. And today, you're taking with you, as I said, a tool for your selling efforts, and that is called the elevator speech. Okay, what is the elevator speech? It's a 1 to 3 minute speech, and it is more difficult to prepare a 3 minute speech than it is to prepare a 7 minute speech. I think it was Winston Churchill who said that if you want me to speak for 10 minutes, I need about a month to prepare. If you want me to speak for half an hour, I will take about a week. But if you want me to speak for an hour, I'm ready right now. So that's the difficulty that it takes to prepare a smaller speech, because it has to be concise and direct to the point. This is the elevator speech. And they call it the elevator speech because of the time that it takes for you to deliver it, it approximately right here, if you can see it, you are in number 2 floor, and you get all the way to 4th floor. And in that amount of time, that's when you have to deliver your speech. And it's usually 1 to 3 minutes. That's why they call it that way. So let's see what types of speeches we have, or what type of elevator pitches. The first one is ceremonial. This relates to any type of toast that we have, an eulogy, or an award, delivering an award. The other one would be an informative, when we are writing a report, and when we are being persuasive, and that is the purpose of this speech, to be convincing, to convince our listener to give us an appointment. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, a persuasive speech. And the intent of the elevator speech, as we mentioned before, is to get a future appointment. That is our intent for this. Okay, there is an effect. Sure, you've heard about the butterfly effect, and that's what happens with the elevator speech too. When we have a yes for the first meeting, then it can multiply, it can keep going. We can get a yes for the second meeting, and we can keep getting yeses for future meetings. That's the whole intention to start the first meeting. The places that we deliver the elevator speeches in networking events or job fairs or impromptu. For the networking events or for the job fairs, we know what's going to happen, so we prepare a speech and we deliver it. We memorize it and we deliver it. For the impromptu, it happens when you see someone at a restaurant.
Adult problems are more complicated and frustrating than you can imagine.
What happened? Okay. Thank you.
Can you please stop trying to give me these pitiful excuses?
It's not my equipment that is doing that, so please all stay muted. Okay, thank you. The impromptu is when you meet someone at a job fair. You could be there, or someone at a restaurant or at the airport, and it's not exactly what you do, but it can fit your purpose of what you're selling. They can use your products, but you have to adjust it. You have to work it out for them, and that's what that's when the impromptu comes in, and that's when you have to deliver at a moment's notice. But you have to adjust your delivery. So we now go with the elements of the elevator speech. Which are those elements? First, we have an outline, a script, and a delivery. That's all it takes. We'll be looking at each one of those elements. So we start with the outline. The outline, we have the intro, the body, the conclusion, and the call to action. Let's start looking at each one of these. But first, let's see the script. Remember, we have the outline, and then we have the script. So let's look at the script. What happens here? We start crafting our speech. And to craft our speech, we follow exactly the outline. The introduction and the body, the conclusion, and the call to action. We craft whatever we need for that speech one at a time. But we need to be creative. If we want to have a very persuasive speech, which is what the elevator speech is, we need to be creative. But how can we be creative? Well, I have somebody that can help us be creative. It's this guy here. I hope you're having a fantastic day, a fantastic week, a fantastic year. At least the past 12 days have been good. Let's make it a good month then and make it a good year. Today we're going to be talking about creativity. This is a very difficult subject. it's very difficult to be creative. How can we be creative? Let's talk about that. And maybe years ago, when I still had some hair, I think, this was back in the 80s, I guess, I listened to a series of tapes by Mike Vance, and it was about creative thinking, something like that. I exactly don't remember the title of that, but it was about creativity. And he had beautiful tips there. I wish I had kept the tapes. I got it from the library, but they were beautiful. They were very, very inspiring. Mike worked for Disney for many years, and he initiated a number of programs, a number of customer service and training, and other companies started copying that training and customer service as well. And he was the one that initiated the phrase thinking out of the box. And actually there's a book about that. So that is a good beginning. If we want to be creative, a good beginning would be to look for those tapes, and I will, and also for that book. That book should be a good book to read. But let's talk a little bit more about this. What is being creative? I guess being creative is not copying others to be creative. I think that what we want to do is to be unique. Now, we can be inspired by others, or if there's certain programs like those of customer service that we want to adapt in our organization, it's fine. But when I speak about not copying others, it's basically when we are speaking, when we are giving our speeches, we have to be us. You have to be you. And one of the things that happened to me, again, in about the 90s or so, I listened to a motivational speaker, and I followed him for many years. And that's more or less when I joined Toastmasters. And I was giving speeches, and there was one time that a guy told me, you sound like that guy. And I realized I was not being creative. I realized that I was just being a carbon copy, which is not what we should do. We can get, as far as my opinion is, we can be creative, we can be inspired by that person, and that's okay. But then we have to apply that to us and be ourselves. Being creative is a great thing. Being unique, looking for activities to do. And there are many books, there are many programs around there that will teach us to be creative. Because I guess that being creative also allows us to grow and to help others, to touch lives in different ways. Thank you very much. Okay, so we start then doing a statement for the introduction. However, let me warn you of something. The introduction should go at the end. When you start crafting your statement, you start first with the body and then leave the introduction at the end, because that way you will know what you will be, how you will be crafting your introduction. But since we have the outline, I'll just follow the outline for this purpose. And you'll understand what I mean in a little while. So you start by introducing yourself, and then you open with a bang and with a promise. So how do you open with a bang? You start with a statement, a question, and the promise that you do relates to the benefits that you plan to offer. Now, you don't tell them the how, you just tell them the what. So, for example, if I am a salesperson and I have a sales system that I want to sell and I want to present to a company, the person that I am talking to, I will say, I have a system that will allow you to save money in this amount of money. I don't tell them the system yet. That's going to be later on the body itself. But for right now, we just pick them a little bit with what they can get if they listen to us. So that's the introduction. Introduce yourself, open with a bang, and promise. This is, again, you use your creativity to open with a bang. You can use a story or a statement. And then the promise is the claim. What is it that you will be doing for them? Because they'll be asking that question. What is it that you can do for me? Okay, so we now go to the body. And the body is the meat of the pitch. This is the most important part of the pitch. Okay, and what happens is that if you have a hamburger with no meat, then this is not a hamburger. But if you have an elevator speech with no body, then it's not an elevator speech. That's why it's so important that we have a good body. Okay, so we need a persuasive statement. How do we do a persuasive statement? Well, I have somebody else that can help us. He's younger now.
What does it mean to be persuasive? I believe that when you are persuasive, you are passionate about what you are doing. You have that conviction within you that you want to get to where you want to go, regardless of the time that it takes. You do everything you can. You move all the barriers, all your challenges to generate the arguments that you need to generate to convince yourself and convince others. That's what being persuasive means. But when do we want to be persuasive? Or when are we usually persuasive? I believe that happens whenever we are selling something, a product, a message, an idea. We are always selling something, but sometimes we don't have that passion to sell it. We don't have that conviction. When is the starting point of being persuasive? I believe it happens whenever you acquire a clear vision, a clear understanding of your intent. You know very clear in your mind of where you want to go, of that goal that you have in mind. And then you have that desire to achieve it. The clearness in your intent, in your vision of the end, and the desire is what generates the passion. That is what I believe. And when you feel that passion, that conviction, then that's when you start looking for all the arguments that you need, for everything, every idea, every possible argument, every possible alternative that you find to convince others and to convince yourself, to talk yourself, that self-talk that we have, that we always have. Because in order to convince others, we have to convince ourselves. And I believe that starting point is when you have that clear conviction, that clear understanding of where you want to go. Do you remember the last time that you were persuasive? Do you remember feeling that passion, that conviction? Were you successful? I believe you were. Being persuasive is very important, and is very important also as speakers, because as speakers, we have to look for persuasive arguments that are succinct and directly to the point. That's how we sell our message. Because when we talk, we are always selling something, an idea or a message or a product, as I said before. The next time you feel that you are being persuasive, go back and think where that initiated, and then look for more arguments to become even more persuasive. Thank you for this. What does?
Okay, so we need a persuasive statement. How do we do that? Basically, again, we need to come up with a way to have that argument that expresses the benefits, that expresses the need as well. And let's go with that. So it's also, you have to answer these questions. Why me? Why now? Those are the two questions that you have to answer when you start working on this statement. And there are 3 steps to formulate this. The first step is understand the need. The second one is satisfy the need. And the third one is visualize the benefits. We have these 3 steps. Let's take a look at each one of them. Okay, just a shortcut here, a commentary. This sequence that I had before, or these 3 steps, come from what is called the Monroe's motivational sequence pattern. And we have used this in Toastmasters extensive. Well, I don't know extensively or not, but those who have been in Toastmasters for a long time, there was one particular speech that we have in the Competent Communication Manual where they have this sequence, and it's precisely this. This is a very old sequence. It started basically in the times of Aristotle, but it was Monroe that put it in this format in the 1930s, and it has been used in there. But you can see this here. This is how, what we're doing here, those 3 steps are in that motivational sequence, and that's exactly what we're using. So let's then start. The first step is to find the need of the person, of our client. How do we find the need? They have a problem, and we have to understand the need. So again, let's see what type of tips we can have. Oops, sorry.
When you are about to prepare a presentation or to give a presentation to the audience or a customer, do you find their needs first? I believe that that is the starting point for any presentation that we do. We're going to be selling a product, a message, or an idea. But in any case, we need to prepare, and we need to understand very clearly the needs of the customer or the needs of the audience. What are they expecting? What are they going to be resonating with those? How are we going to connect better with them? When we don't do that, when we don't find the need, and we just give a presentation, we are not going to connect with them well because they are not going to resonate with us. Whatever we do, we're trying only to talk about the features of the benefit or of our idea of what they need. But what if they don't need what we're selling? Then we are not going to connect. If we do our homework prior to doing the presentation, and if we find their specific needs, then we start preparing our presentation with that need in mind. And we will open with statistics, with story, with humor, but everything that we do would be related to our message and to their need.
Okay, I'm going to stop here and we're going to continue here. So the next step is satisfy the need. Basically here, you're going to match the need with whatever capabilities you have, and they have to go together. So if you're selling a system, a CRM system, then it has to match the needs of the customer, or whatever system or a sales system that you have, it has to match also the needs of the potential client. So right now, we are going to proceed to have a breakout room, and it's going to be consistent of 4 or 5 people.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're going to have. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to start working on the statement, craft a statement, a persuasive statement that includes the need and how you will satisfy it. But the first thing that you have to do is determine what you're going to be selling. You can be selling any product that you want. My suggestion is, and this will be easier for you, my suggestion is that you sell the idea to a group or to one person, the idea to give them a longer presentation about Toastmasters. This is a 3-minute presentation that you can present and how you can convince them to come to a not a Toastmaster meeting, but maybe you have more information about Toastmasters where you can give them a presentation, and that might include also a meeting, a Toastmaster meeting. So that's a suggestion. You can do whatever you want to in the group. So let's do this. Let's go into breaks. And just to facilitate this, the leader in each group will be one of the Toastmasters, one of the Showtime members that are there. It'll be easy just to have somebody there so that we don't spend too much time, and it'll be facilitated and it'll be the spokesperson of the meeting.
And
So
Tony, I just want to let everyone know that I posted the example in the chat. So there's examples of each step that they can use as a guideline. So if you want to download that now before I move you into a chat room.
yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Bobby. I forgot that. Yeah, we have an example there, and basically you can follow that same example to formulate these two steps. And remember, in this case, it has to be short. It has to be, let's say that you don't want this to be more than 100 words.
Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording right now and we'll start putting people into breakout rooms. Okay, we are recording again.
Okay, good. Let me go back here. Okay, thank you. Welcome back. So let's talk about give me a short statement, if you were able to formulate the statement. Who was the group of number 1? The leader of number 1? Connie?
That would be me.
Yeah.
And we talked about it really depends. Our approach really depends on who we're talking with, how our approach would be. If it would
Okay.
be my sister, I'd say, you need this, join. But if it was a colleague, you could start off with, I saw your presentation and I think you could learn from a club that I belong to called Toastmasters. They can help you become a better presenter. If it
Okay.
was a friend, you could say, use a personal story, which I started out with, that Toastmasters was one of the best decisions in my life. It's helped me
So
find
let's follow with that then. How would you satisfy the need?
that I share my experience that Toastmasters has helped me find my voice, helped me increase my leadership skills and build my confidence. And I would invite them to the meeting if they wanted to work on any
Okay.
personal growth.
Okay. Very good, Connie. Who's the number 2 group? Okay, Jimmy.
I'm gonna have Jared explain it because he had the best idea, I think, from everybody agreed.
Okay, Jared.
Sure. So our example is we're a members of a Toastmasters club in a corporate club environment. And so we use that one of our coworkers, we were able to observe our coworker doing a presentation and seemed a little bit nervous, and this presentation was a little disjointed. So on that elevator pitch, we recognize this, hello, my name is so-and-so, I'm a member of this club. You know, we have a Toastmasters club in this company. And I noticed you were doing a presentation and you were struggling to a bit, and there's opportunities to get your presentation in a more concise order. And we believe if you join our club, we can give you some assistance to help your presentation go to the next level. And that's kind of the approach we had.
Thank you, Jared. Who's number 3?
So I will represent the group 3. So as Connie said, different people have different needs, and our group decided to focus on a special need, that is people who have scared to speak in public. To satisfy their needs, we will suggest that Toastmaster provides a friendly, no pressure environment where people can gradually build up their confidence through the practice of prepared speech and also impromptu speech. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Okay, so let's proceed now. Well, I think we should, you all deserve an applause. Thank you for doing it. So let's continue. I will share my screen again, and I lost it, so I'm gonna have to find my place again. Okay, we're breakout room for need, and okay, this is it. So slideshow, play from start. Okay, we did this. We did the need, and we did this satisfaction. So let's go with the visualize step. That's the 3rd step. So again here, most of you got this one already. So we're going to skip this breakout session, and we're just going to continue because there is another breakout session right after this. But the visualization is very simple. You know, what is in for me? And you talk about the benefits that you will get. Now, it's very important that when you talk about the benefits, you mention tangible benefits. They have to be related to money, to time savings, to less stress, to fun, or ease of use. Whatever product you're selling, if you're going to say, I'm the best, so what? I'm the oldest, so what? What are you going to be doing for me? That's the question you have to respond all the time. And it has to be tangible, specific. And there are many more that could be tangible, but from here, you have an idea of what you need to say. So if you're talking about the benefits that they will get if they join Toastmasters, you can say, you know, it's going to be less stressful when you do a presentation, or it's easy really once you learn the process. It's going to be fun and things of that sort. So that's what you have to be very tangible when you present what is in for me. And then the proof. So the proof here, you have to demonstrate that you can do whatever. If you're selling a product, in this case, that the product is going to work, and you have proof that it works. You have, in this case, if you're selling yourself, you have the knowledge, the experience, and you have testimonials to prove that you have that capabilities. And another way of doing the proof is by presenting a customer story, the now, the then, and the how. So this is a problem that you solve, and you have a situation, and this situation is maybe a customer that gave you this opportunity to resolve the problem. And you can say, now this customer is saving this amount of money because I gave them my system. Before the then, they were losing customers and they were able to increase their sales. So they were losing money. And the how, because they use my system and I train them with my system. So this is a very simple way of also establishing a proof. Okay, so we're going to skip this because we don't have time to do this now. So we're going to continue with the rest. I guess you have a clear understanding of what this is. So let's continue. We have done the introduction, the body. Now all we need is the conclusion and the call to action. So in the conclusion, once you have the statement and you present it, then you wrap up. Basically, it's a very, very quick thing. And then after you wrap up, then you reiterate your promise, your claim. You know, I promise you that you will be saving this amount of money. And I promise you also that you will be enjoying life more. There'll be less stress. So you just reiterate what you tell them. And then you also tell them specific ideas, specific benefits of what they will get, what is in for them. Okay. So then the last thing to do is the call to action. And here you ask for a future meeting, you schedule a call. If they don't give you a future meeting, then at least get a call to get them to schedule a call where you can talk to them again, or you can ask them that if they will be receptive to sending some information. Whatever you do, just make sure that you keep the conversation going, because maybe later on they will accept a future meeting. And also you can ask for a referral or whatever else. So in the call to action, you have to overcome the fear of rejection. If you're already there, don't be fearful. Just keep going until you get the yes, the approval, the agreement that they will meet with you later. Pique their curiosity. You can tell them in our next meeting, we will be covering this. For example, if you're selling a sales system, you can say, in this longer meeting that we will have, I will cover specific points about sales calls that you will be having, and therefore you will be improving the effectiveness of the salesperson. So, okay, so we're going to do another room, and then in this case, we're just gonna talk on the conclusion and the call to action. And if you have time, then go to the introduction. So you have, let me see, it is right now 7:26. Yeah, let's take 10 minutes for that.
Okay.
Remember, we skipped the visualization and the proof, so you have to do that on your own. But this will be the craft statement to include the conclusion and the call to action. And if you have some time, go to the introduction. How are you going to capture their attention so that they can listen to you? That's the introduction. But first, concentrate on the conclusion and the call to action.
Okay, we'll pause the recording.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, we'll have some time for questions. I hope it's 3:38. So let's wrap up now. Then let me go back here and oh shoot. Again, I have the same problem. Okay, share screen again. Share screen. And then we have the breakout room, slideshow, play from course live. Okay, so we are at the delivery stage. Delivery stage. Tell me something. How do you like your pizza? You like it hot?
Hot.
Hot. Okay. But what if they deliver it to you cold? If you ask for one and it gets to you cold, it could be the best pizza ever in the world. But if they deliver it cold, you fail in the delivery. They fail in the delivery. And that's what happens to an elevator pitch also. You can have the best elevator pitch that you might imagine, but if you don't deliver it correctly, then it'll fail. That's what, and you all, since all of you are, this is just going to be a repetition since you're all Toastmasters. So we'll go through this very quickly to have some time for some questions. So the verbal language, it's needed. We have the body language, and then we have the field control. Those are the different elements for the delivery. The verbal language, we know what it is vocal variety, the pitch, the rate, and the volume. So we have to control those three, and there has to be variation of those. We have to have clarity in what we're saying, be able to enunciate every word and have a conversational style, pauses, no verbal fillers. The body language, just natural gestures, especially if we're talking only to one person, then we don't have big gestures. We just have, just to be natural. And the facial expressions are needed. You have to be animated. If you're selling something, you have to be animated and feeling that passion. And if you're going to be moving, if you're only talking to one person, then try not to move. You have to stay there because you might drive the listener crazy. Okay, this is very important. When we are delivering the speech or the pitch, we have to have positive thoughts that they're going to accept, that we are going to be able to do it, that there is no problem. And we have practiced our speech, and so we should have no doubts whatsoever that we can deliver it. So some of the questions that you can ask yourself before you start delivering is, one of them is, how would I deliver this presentation if I knew it was going to be my last one? So you would deliver it with passion, with conviction, and then the last one would be a breathing exercise before you do the presentation. And that's for the oxygen to go to your brain and make sure that you have enough life and through in your speech, because if you are like me, if I don't breathe right, I run out of control and I have my brain freezes. And that's what happened to me the other day. So you practice. There's no question about that. If it's okay to fail, you use humor to get out of that failure, and to err is human. And I was going to show you another. I don't think we have time for it. It's too late. But one of the things that happened to me, this is a personal story. I was defeated last Saturday because I lost my control. I lost my train of thoughts. I think I had a brain freeze. I was too exhausted or something. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't talk and I was defeated. But it was precisely for that, because I could not control my fear. And I was, I think I've given this that speech, I think I practiced about at least 50 times, and I was able to do it. But when the presentation the time came, I wasn't able to do it. So that can happen. To err is human. I mean, there is nothing we can do. So this is in YouTube in my channel if you want to watch it. We don't have time right now, unfortunately. But let's continue here. And then by all means, when you have a presentation and you already had the approval, the yes, ask for feedback. Ask for feedback. Ask, how well did I do? Did I express my points to your satisfaction? Was I clear on what I wanted to give you? And you can practice giving the same speech to somebody else, and just for practice and see if you can get some feedback, some evaluation, because that's very important. There is no sense in giving a pitch that is incorrect, that is not that persuasive. And you have to keep that in mind. It has to be persuasive. Okay, so let's open the room for questions.
I'll just throw in here, Tony, I put your YouTube channel link is now
okay.
in the chat.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I also uploaded the bibliography for this presentation. So I'll load that one more time in case someone missed it in the chat.
Okay. Let me tell you what number that is. Okay, it's 244.
Number 244.
Yeah, it's video 244, so they can look at it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? Come on, I need some questions. Otherwise, I didn't do my job.
So
I don't
everyone,
get paid if I don't do my job.
let's invite everyone to go off of mute and just have a conversation here. We're a small enough group.
So I have a question. So Tony, you mentioned that there are satisfaction steps, visualization step. I mean, all these steps, some steps, can we combine them? Because it's only like 2 to 3 minutes. It's hard to clearly say, oh, this is one step, this is the second step. And sometimes you say something, it serves multiple purpose. It just do both ways.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether we can combine, I mean, depending on the situation, obviously.
Oh, yes, it depends on, it's going to depend on the situation. But let me tell you what the visualization stage is. Here, did we cover that or not? Did we cover the visualization step?
Yes, yeah.
Briefly.
Okay. Okay, so in the visualization step, what you do is you take them to the future. And you take them to the future and you tell them, these are the benefits that you're going to get. But you are asking them to imagine how they will feel once they have those benefits. So if I'm selling a sales system and the visualization stage will be a small sentence or a few words, and I will say, these are the benefits that you will be getting. And you have to arrange, they have to be tangible. So it's very important that you do that you go step by step. And just remember, step number 1, the need. Step number 2, satisfy that need. How are you going to satisfy it? And I have the system that is going to help you. And then you go to the future and say, this is how you will be feeling. This is what are the benefits that you will get for this. If we're selling, for example, the Toastmaster idea, and you know that they need to improve their speaking skills, and let's say that they are an engineer and they have to do presentations all the time. So the need will be they need to improve their speaking skills. The satisfaction will be, I'm in a Toastmaster club and we cover precisely presentation skills, and we will help you to do that and to improve your speaking skills. The visualization step will be, you will be promoted you will be noticed when you start talking better, start presenting better. You start, that's the visualization step. You put them in the future as to what they're going to be doing. Is that clear now? Great. Yep. Okay. Any other question? I'll take 4 more questions.
Tony, I'm a big believer in using personal examples of my experience and what's happened to me when I ask people to come to my clubs. Do you think more people are persuaded in a corporate situation with more personal or emotional pitch versus a pitch that has statistics? Or is focused on numbers?
Yeah, it's going to depend on the need again, Connie. You have to look at the need. You have to look at the person. What do they need? Do they need statistics? Then give them statistics. Do they need to be emotionally convinced because they are struggling in life for some particular reason? Then you convince them, you know, with an inspirational story. And you can tell them, you know, in Toastmasters, you're going to be hearing many inspirational stories that will help you. So again, it depends on the need of what you're going to go. Okay, 2 more questions.
So Tony, just to follow on with what you just said, so if you feel the person has a need to be around other people, to network and that kind of thing, then you might want to focus the pitch more on the socializing and networking opportunities in a meeting versus the speaking skills, perhaps.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. It depends on the need. I mean, it's all going to, so that's why it's so important that you start with the need. And once you identify the need, then you craft the persuasive speech or persuasive pitch based on that.
Okay.
Okay.
What if the need isn't obvious? Can you give us some tips on how to, in a very fast, limited time, how to uncover the need?
How to uncover the needs.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to ask questions before you present your pitch. You don't present your pitch until you know the needs of the person. And you have to maybe do some interviews or talk to some people or whatever. But it is essential that you know the need of the person before you start talking. How you do it?
I can chime in.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like in our session, I kind of talked about how you have to relate with the person,
right.
And how whatever you bring up to them is how you intrigue them to get interested. So you always want to, like for me, I worked in the corporate world. So when I did that, everyone goes through interviews, everyone goes through pay raises. So that's kind of where I pitch and let people know, hey, you want to succeed, you want to move up, you want to be a leader, you want a pay raise. I mean, who doesn't not want a pay raise? So depending on the situation of where you're at, you want to ask open-ended questions that you know other people may actually want. And once you get that intrigue from that person, then you do your pitch because you know exactly what you're doing. Some people might want to just networking and not really a pay raise. Some people might want to move into a leadership role. So you want to be able to distinguish what their need is so that you can then do your pitch as far as how Toastmasters can help them on that need. Does that help?
That helps a lot. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much for that information. Okay, so let's proceed. We're almost done here. Let me proceed with my presentation. We're going just to do the conclusion. Shoot, that's not it. Okay, so questions we already covered. Now the conclusion. Basically, again, you go to the keepers and you do the, yeah, let's see what, this is a conclusion for, I got lost. I went to the conclusion of this, of the pitch. This is the conclusion for this meeting. So for this presentation. So tell me on the chat, write at least one keeper that you got from this presentation. And just write it on the chat, and Bobby will send it, will read it. So at least one keeper that you got from this presentation. Something that you're going to be taking with you and you will be able to use.
The thing that struck me tonight, Tony, was about starting with the need.
Right.
So I guess sometimes you'd have to kind of create your presentation on the fly, but you might have some talking points already pre-planned.
Right.
Okay. And
Okay.
Nancy says, call to action. And Connie says that we're all selling.
And we are what?
That we are selling.
Right.
The elevator pitch is selling. And Blair says, always acknowledge a need.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I think people are, okay, Robin says, tailor your solution to the other person's need. Hopefully that was one of your key points, because I think we're getting that.
That's great. Well,
Warren
at least
said,
one, if there is at least one keeper that they can take, that's great.
yeah. So
But
then
one of the things that I encourage you to do is to get those books that I suggested,
okay,
especially the small message, big impact, because that's all the book is precisely for that. And
okay.
that's on the bibliography that I sent. Okay, so take that example that I wrote and take it with you, because that will help you to present to do your pitch, your elevator speech. Just follow that same outline that I had there, or that you can actually formulate like a template out of that. You take whatever I did and follow those different points that I have there. Okay, and by all means, please contact me if you have any questions. What happened here? Oh, okay.
Maybe you can type your email in the chat, Tony, or I'll put it in the follow-up for this session as well.
Okay.
And I think, Connie, Showtime Toastmasters always has what we call a power hour session on the third Monday of each month. And our presenter in February will be Connie. So Connie, can you tell us what you'll be talking about this time?
Yes, I'd like everybody to join me. If you've ever told a joke in your speech and there were crickets, it landed flat. If you've ever froze up, lost your train of thought. Because we're a positive and supportive environment, we may have not been booed, but if you're giving a presentation at your job, maybe you've been booed before, or things have not gone the way that you expected. Something unexpected happened. You had a know-it-all in your session and they hijacked your session. If this has ever happened to you, please attend my session called Booed, Heckled, and Murphy's Law. You will learn tips on how to overcome technical problems, how to use humor to keep going, and how to move forward with unexpected challenges. So I'd like you to join me next month on February 17th. Thank you.
Okay, one favor from all of you I have, and if you want to share your perception of how I did, your feedback, I would really appreciate it. Did you get any, did you spend your time wisely or not? Are there any things that you suggest that I do to improve my presentation? I would really appreciate it. You can send me an email. I put my email there. And Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, one quick correction, Connie, the third Monday in February is February 21st.
I'm sorry. I didn't look at my
6:30
calendar.
PM. You can register on Showtime's website, which is showtime.toastmastersclubs.org. And there's a left link for Showtime Presents sessions, and come and join us at a regular meeting, second and fourth Mondays, also at 6:30. And we'll see you all next time. And thank you, Tony, so much for a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.